Hello, scholars. Welcome. Welcome to math. Math. In today's lesson, we will be defining, writing, and interpreting ratios. Our very first ratio lesson. How exciting. We are going to use the lesson page in Canvas to help us learn this material. When we're in Canvas and we find the homework button in the modules page, right above that is a button that has the name of the lesson. If you click on this button with the name of today's lesson, right above the independent practice, right above today's homework, it will give you the lesson page that has the lesson on it. I'm going to skip past the vocabulary. This is very important to know, but we're just going to skip past it for now. And we're going to talk about the exploring the math section. Let's read through this together. In today's lesson, we will be exploring what a ratio is, how to write a ratio for a given situation, and interpreting ratios, figuring out what they mean. Ratios are fundamental. They are so important in mathematics. And they they help us compare quantities to each other. They tell us how much of one thing there is compared to another. Ratios can be found everywhere, from mixing paint colors, to following a recipe in a kitchen, to comparing your kill to death ratio with your friends to see who's better at Fortnite. Learning about ratios is not just about numbers. It's about understanding relationships and proportions in the world around us. Mr. Bertram, what is a ratio? A ratio is a comparison of two quantities that tells us how many times one value contains another. It is expressed as two numbers separated by a colon, like 1, 2, the word 2, like 1, 2, 2, or as a fraction, 1 over 2. There are lots of different ways to write fractions, or write ratios. Sorry, not write fractions, write ratios. Writing ratios is easy once you know what you're comparing. Remember, a ratio always compares two quantities. For example, there are 3 boys for every 2 girls in Tom's class. Here's how we can write that. 3 on top of 2 for the 3 boys and 2 girls. 3 colon 2 for the 3 boys and 2 girls. Or using the word 2. 3 boys, 2 girls. When you're writing a ratio, first identify the quantities. What are the two items that you're going to compare? Is it the boys and girls in Tom's class, or is it the boys and the dogs in Tom's class? Is it the dogs and the jars of jelly in Tom's class? What are you comparing? What two things are you actually comparing? What numbers do you need to look for? So that's step 1, identify the quantities. Step 2, the order matters. The order in which you write the numbers in a ratio is important. It's important. The first number refers to the first item mentioned, and the second number refers to the second item mentioned. Imagine we have this situation, or this question. What is the ratio of students in Mr. Smith's class to turtles? Oh, they have a class pet that's a turtle. How fun. I love that. Students to turtles. Well, there's 25 students and there's one turtle. So bada bing, bada boom, I'm done, except I'm not, because this is written in the wrong order. This ratio actually means one student and 25 turtles. That might be a really fun situation for you to be in, but that is not what's happening here. There are 25 students for every one turtle. Students was the first word in our sentence, so the number talking about students has to be first. Turtle was the second word, so the number relating to how many turtles there were goes second, just like the word turtle does. So first, what numbers, what things are you talking about? Identify the quantities. Second, order matters. 3, use the same units. Before writing a ratio, make sure both your quantities are the same units. Like, we'll talk more about this later, but make sure if you're talking about miles, make sure they're both in miles, not one in miles, one in kilometers. Um, and step 4, last step, express the ratio. Write the ratio using a colon, the word to, or as a fraction, just like up here. Example 1. If a recipe calls for 2 cups of flour and 1 cup of sugar, what's the ratio of flour to sugar? So first, what numbers do I need to look for? What things am I going to compare? I'm going to compare flour to sugar. Flour to sugar. Okay, what number here talks about flour? Oh, 2 cups of flour. And here's the number for sugar, 1 cup of sugar. Okay, now order matters. So 2, I'm going to use the colon because I like that way. Colon 1. 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar. I have my ratio. I have my ratio. Hey, 2 to 1. Sweet. If we decide to triple the recipe and use 6 cups of flour so we can serve more, how many cups of sugar would you need? So let's say we triple it. And now we need 6 cups of flour. How many sugars are we going to need? What was that special word I said, that vocab word? Triple? What does triple mean? Yes, you are right. Triple means timesing by 3. So if 2 gets times by 3, then we would triple the sugar too. That way it's not just a bunch of floury cookies. And that would be 1 times 3 is 3. Oh yeah. And now our ratio is 6 to 3. All right. Now here's a new part. You might have some questions that want you to interpret ratios. Some ratios have a part-to-part relationship. This compares one part of a group to another part, like boys to girls in a class, or how many chocolate chip cookies and Raisin Bran cookies are there. For example, if there are 2 apples and 3 oranges, the ratio of apples to oranges is 2 to 3. Just 2 different things, a part and a part. There's also part to whole ratios. This compares one part of a group to the entire group, like how many boys are there versus how many people are there, or how many chocolate chip cookies are there in the cookie jar compared to how many total cookies are there. For example, if there are 2 apples and 3 oranges in a fruit bowl, what's the ratio of apples to all the fruit? Well, there's 2 apples, but there's 5 total pieces of fruit. So it would be 2 to 5, part to whole. All right, let's work through example number 2 together. And you are more than welcome to read through question or examples 3 and 4 on your own. Oops. There. The ratio of boys to girls in Mrs. Starling's class is 8 to 17. Okay, so quick pause. 8 to 17. Which number's the boys, which number's the girls? Who's going to win in terms of numbers? Yep, 8 is the boys and 17 is the girls. So if this was an old-time army battle, the girls win because there's more. There's more of you. So power in numbers. Order matters. 8 is the boys because that's first. Girls is 17 because that's second. All right, now let's keep going. What does the ratio represent? We just talked about that. Awesome. Check. 8 boys, 17 girls. And what is the ratio of girls to total students? So it wants us to come up with another ratio, a ratio of girls to total students. How many girls are there? Yep, there's 17 girls. I like writing my ratios with a colon. And then it wants how many total students are there? How many total students are there? Not 8, not 17, but if there's 8 boys and 17 girls, then yeah, you're right. We would add these together. Thanks for letting me read your brain. And if we did add these together, we would get a final answer of 25. 25. Thank you, calculator. So our ratio of girls to total students is 17 to 25. So you can go ahead and read through examples 3 and 4 on your own before you do the homework. And let's talk about this conclusion. Ratios are a powerful tool for comparing quantities and understanding their relationships. They are not just about abstract numbers. They have practical applications that can help us make sense of the world. Whether you're cooking, crafting, or calculating, or trying to see who's better at Fortnite, ratios are an essential part of problem solving. Remember, practice makes perfect, so keep exploring ratios in different contexts. It is important we understand how to interpret, write, and use ratios as we get ready to explore ratio tables and part-to-part and part-to-part to whole ratios. All right, class, good luck.